Well, I guess welcome sports fans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The 2024 IPF Worlds Classic Powerlifting Championships review show for basically we wanted to do this for the GCC and Lebanese lifters.
Mm. And I mean
Um,
that's mainly due to the fact that we now have quite a few lifters from the region, and just want to highlight them so they don't kind of like disappear in the noise after this fantastic tournament because there was a lot of insane results.
yeah, a lot of insane results, and I think it kind of in the region when we started, you know, Desert Barbell was like nearly 6 years ago now. There weren't many lifters from the region going to these big championships. So I think it was something that we discussed where, we were kind of like, it's great, it's amazing. And we wanted to kind of like shine a light on the lifters that went to the world championships. And I think the biggest world championships to date, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of
Yeah, in
participation.
terms of participation for sure, and also there were an incredible amount of nations that we haven't seen the last couple of years. So it's expanding radically with like all the lifters from our region, but also from different parts of the world. It's not only like the top European countries, US, and like some single Asian country. It is literally like worldwide. And you see that also, obviously, in the medals. You have people from New Zealand in particular, and you have US, France, yeah, from everywhere, literally. So
Yeah,
it's super good
yeah,
to see.
yeah,
And
really
obviously,
cool.
we had some medals from this region also, which we'll come to,
Yeah,
which is incredible.
yeah. So I think
Mm.
what we were going to do, Patrick, you took the men's side of things, and I took the ladies' side of things, and we just kind of went in and broke things down in terms of like the lifters, where they're from, their best lifts leading up to the competition, how they performed in the competition, and just some kind of like general kind of comments. And I
Mm.
think what we'll do, like I said, in a very positive way, is talk about these lifters, and kind of like just highlight how fantastic it is, and then maybe at the end we can kind of like dive into some things about what we think can be done to improve on the performances, what we can do, in the region to get more lifters going to these championships and stuff. So
Mm.
I think you can kind of kick us off and start discussing on the men's side.
Yeah, let's start with the guys. And first up, we actually had participation from the region in the 59, 74, 83, 93, 105, and the 120s. And I mean, let's start with the 59, where we have a guy that has been in our competitions at least on one or two occasions, which is Muhammad Al Khattam from Kuwait.
The Atomic
Um,
Ant,
yeah,
I think
exactly.
his Instagram name, yeah.
Yeah. And no, and first off, the 59 guys, and this is no actual shade on the 59s, but historically it's been like a little bit like it's been a one-man show for quite some time with Fedoshenko
Jenko,
from Russia.
Rush.
And also it usually hosted before even the what do you call it, the ceremony where the whole tournament kicks off. And it's always been like a little bit of yeah the 59 guys, and then we can start the tournament for real. But now the 59 guys have like both depth and kind of like good competence in the top. Obviously with the US guy Oscar Carpio winning and also qualifying for Sheffield, which was his main goal. And he did a 6:37 and a half total in the 59, which is absolutely wild.
This is
If
insane.
you, yeah, if you just have it in perspective, that this is people that weigh like a medium size or a bigger size dumbbell, and they will total 630. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. And there was a pretty big class. It usually is a small class, but it was 15 guys coming in, and Muhammad was one of them. Um, And I mean, he performed really well also. He did a 182 squat, he did a 127 bench and a 190 dead for a total of 500. Going 5 out of 9 lifts, so he missed a few lifts there. Among them, he missed his last squat and then 2 benches and the last deadlift. But as I could find, at least on the data, this should be a personal best in the total, and doing that on the international stage with what all that is means with the refereeing and jury and all that kind of stuff is pretty impressive. Yeah, he also PB, if I understand this correctly, PB is also in his bench with a 127.5 for a total of 500. And for a 59 guy, if you just look in our community a few years back, that would be like really good. And I mean, I think that he will build on this total. He's still a relatively young lifter, so he is on the rise, and the whole class is on the rise. So if he can just tidy up and making a little bit more attempts, he can build on that total quite a bit. It will be interesting to see what he can do then. If I'm assuming he'll go to Asians later this year, at the end of the year.
Yeah, and to make a 10 kilo total PB, having missed 4 lifts, suggests that he's in good form to hit something really big.
Yeah, I agree. And if we then move on to the 74 category, then we had the Lebanese Shiva there. Yeah. And I've followed him for quite some time. If I don't misremember, I think he competed for almost 8-9 years now, and has been, like, I think he done a few world championships before. So I actually first time actually saw him compete was on our last power meet, which I think was really nice to see. And he always carries himself well, and have a huge support within the Lebanese whole lifting community. For this day in Lithuania, I did 232, 152, 250 for a total of 635. Making 6 out of 9 lifts. Came in on 17th place. I didn't mention that, but Mohammed came in on 14th place. And if I got the data right on Shiva, also from Open Powerlifting, he PB'd total and also bench. And doing that internationally is pretty darn good. He tried also for 242.5 squat, which he didn't get, and if my memory serves me, he tried for 243 in the power meet. So he is up there among the 240-ish, which is also for a 74 kilo lifter really good. Bench 152 then for a PB for him, and finishing up with deadlift with a 250. His problem as a lifter, if you look at internationally, is that his squat is pretty much there, and then the bench and the deadlift, especially the deadlift, there are so many good deadlifters now. It's absolutely bonkers seeing people pull nowadays. If we just look at the top guys in the 74 category, I mean, you had Austin Perkins pulling 325, Kjell Egil from Norway pulling 332, and we had Tim Monegatti from New Zealand pulling 330. And then also some additional guys over some on 320, 310, 302, 302, 312. So it is, if you don't have a deadlift above 300 already in the 74 category, you're gonna trail, and that's pretty interesting also. But solid lifter Shiva, and I'm assuming we'll see him at Asians in December, and see what he can do on the local market when he doesn't have to fight all these titans. It's a huge class, 24 lifters, and he came in 17 out of those. So I think it was a good showing. I can't really fault him. It was completely the right decision, going for 242 squat, I think, and then he did all his benches, and just missing the last deadlift on a 5 kilo increase. But it's nothing much to say about that. Seems pretty solid.
I think he's done a lot for Lebanese powerlifting. I think he is kind of been the face of it for a long time. And I know, now obviously Team Lebanon close to our hearts, with our very own Dalia, Coach Dalia, who was there with Team Lebanon as assistant coach, which is fantastic for her as well, to get that experience to go to this incredible world championships and actually get the experience to coach the Lebanese lifters. And we know how proud the Lebanese are, and obviously Jad coaching Shiva, and obviously we're going to talk about Etienne as we get a little bit further on. But yeah, Team Lebanon close to our hearts, sure. So it was really, really cool to see people making a good showing from the team.
All right, and also in the 83 category, then we had our own Musa.
Our boy.
And also a lot of his records that he has, of course, been made at actually our competitions and at the DB Classic. His total PB 692 is from the Classic, and I know that we both witnessed when he pulled the 326 at our last competition, and that was an interesting event because he had to actually pull two third deadlifts, which was pretty. Because I can't remember how many. It was misloaded by a full 50 kilos, right?
Yeah. It was a misload of epic proportions, but he came out, it flew, and everyone was just like, "Oh my god!" And I think even he realized at the time, like,
it must have been too
definitely too easy. And at that point, when you kind of expend so much emotional energy on a lift like that, it's not normally about that physical energy, right? But he managed to come out, and everyone was going wild, and he pulled it, and you're just like, oh yeah, that took some balls for sure. So
Then he literally, that was the last lift of the competition. Then he came back and had to redo it, and then it was the actual 326. And he didn't mega smoke it, but he lifted it like rather smooth, which was intensely interesting. Anyway, so his main weapon in this competition is of course the deadlift, and he was having like high hopes of being like fairly high up in the result list. The challenge in this category is the insane amount of good deadlifters there is. However, we're not gonna go through from the squat, but let's go through on the squat, and then we come to what actually placing he came in the deadlift. But anyway, he started with a 227 and a 240 squat, which he made. And then they loaded 247.5, which was maybe somewhat of a stretch. I just happened to rewatch that group now just before we started this recording. As we know, it always takes a lot out of you if you fail your last squat, especially if it's a strength issue. So maybe that set him back even a little bit more from his top capacity in deadlift, but and also his PB from before, as I could remember and find, is the 242. So he was just below PB. So I don't know. Maybe they were.
I think he's tried maybe 245 or 247 at a couple of our meets and kind of just missed it before. Yeah. So I'm sure they were hoping that on the big stage, that rush of adrenaline, just kind of helping him grind it through, just wasn't quite there for sure.
Yeah, and just rechecking now. He tried 245 twice in the last power meet that we had, and he actually tried for 250 at the Classic. That was in December. So anyway, it wasn't like a wild attempt or anything.
No.
But maybe a 45 would have gone. But also, if 45 would have gone, it would be like a mega grinder, and that will also kind of get you a little bit off the edge on the deadlift. The bench press isn't Musa's favorite event. He did 115, 120, and then he actually skipped the 122.5, which I think was the right call, because that wasn't really why he was there. And to be completely honest, I don't know exactly what he has some shoulder issues since long term, I believe. But I don't know exactly what it is. I just know that he struggles to get the bench up to par with his other lifts, and and looking at his technique, it's not an awful lot that he can do to kind of like tie that up. So this is some sort of pain issue that makes him not be able to push with full power. But anyway, 115, 120, and he left the last one. So
I guess it's just that those long favorable deadlift leverages just kind of potentially working against him there, kind of a bit of give and take. I mean, maybe, but we know a lot of good deadlifters also have good benches, but hopefully he kind of figures out any kind of shoulder issues that he might be having, and he can kind of really kind of push on the bench, because it would be great to see him get that up and just kind of really bump his total up into the into the 700s, because you have to believe that there's a lot of room there just from the bench, assuming or hoping that he can kind of get that figured out for sure.
Yeah, PB, if I understand it correctly, is the 130 he did at the Classic, which is obviously, it's a 10 kilo at least more than this competition. But anyway, the competition really starts when the bars are thrown on the floor for Musa, and I think they took a easy opener, 305, and then they went for what I kind of like would assume be the actual goal weight in the second lift, and the third would be a bonus. So he went 327.5 in the second lift, which is I double checked also before that should be the current now Asian record. However, the Asian Federation, Asian website not being super fast to update, the record is still standing with a Singaporean guy, I believe, Ashton Pang. So that's has been standing since the Asian Championships. That was in Malaysia. 325.5. So it should be updated, but so that should be the record. And then they went for a bonus lift of 337.5, which wasn't
and
there.
I wonder why that was, because Tarek, obviously his training partner, had a PB, I think, of like 336 in competition, right? So I was wondering, were they just trying to just for the banter on the world stage, just chip Tarek to 337? I'm not sure, but
we had it was I can't remember exactly how it played. And also remember, these guys was in the B group, so they had to just pull whatever they could to kind of like put pressure on the A group, and it's just ended up being that the bronze medal went for 342.5. That was by the Guyana guy that was actually in Musa's group. A very colorful
setup.
Very funny guy. Both the Guyana guys were super funny, but this guy was like, even he took the prize, I think, as the most outstanding guy of them all. He pulled 342, and then you had actually. So Russell Orhi pulled 335 and came fourth in the deadlift. So if Musa would have gotten the 337, he would have actually beaten. He didn't know it at the time, but he would have beaten Russell Orhi, and that's some scalp to take as a new lifter on this kind of level.
But so
Musa ended up he ended up sixth in the deadlift, which is. In a class of 26 lifters is obviously phenomenal, but it's just that top level of the first 3-4 guys or top 5 is really high. We have, of course, the real deadlift hero Anaharo won with 365, but he also tried for 405. So there are some, and he actually broke the floor. I'm guessing that everyone's watching saw that session, but he broke the floor with 405. So that's pretty impressive. So I mean the future looking bright for Musa in the squat and the deadlift, and then it's just a matter of figuring out that bench. And I'm pretty sure that he is trying multiple things, but let's see. But Asian record, PB dead, and solid squat for a 687.5, and yeah, he placed 18 in the big group. So and onwards and upwards for him. So I don't.
Asian
I'm
record.
yeah. I'm assuming he also will go for the Asian Championship if they get a troop together. It's always interesting to see how many lifters will be able to travel to these competitions in Asia. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, amazing. Well done, Musa. Everyone at DB is super proud, buddy. Well done.
Hyped.
Hell yeah. All right, I'm gonna cut it.
Yeah. And then we had Chris Boulos from Qatar in the 83 category. A lifter that is unknown to me. He did 255, 152, 260. Went 6 for 9, so he missed a few vital lifts that hurt his total quite a bit. He went from 255 to 270 on the squat, missed that, and he also went from 260 to 280, missed those deadlifts. He has, we have a little bit of inside information there from Firas in Qatar, and he's speaking very highly of Chris, and think that he can do some severe damage, pretty like quite far into the 700s. He did 667.5 here, and he has a PB of just below 700 with 697.5. But according to the ones who know him and see him train, he is looking good for pretty deep into the 700s if he get the right meet, and hopefully he'll get that on nationals. Oh, sorry, in Asians then. And I think it's if he can go into the 700s a little bit deep on an 83 category, I think that's very solid, and just making a little bit more attempts. Because 6 out of 9 on the will hurt your total in one shape or form, and if you do big jumps, it will hurt it quite a bit. So let's hope that you get at least like 7 or 8 for 9 at Asians, and then we can see some completely different numbers.
Yeah, a lot of room left to grow with those jumps, leaving probably a lot on the table. So maybe it was like a weight cut thing that kind of messed it up, that top end a little bit, and kind of, you know, made the view a little bit cloudy in terms of attempt selection. But yeah, definitely a lot of room to grow into the 700s there.
Yeah, and speaking of jumps and weight categories and new weight categories, we had one of our legendary lifters, Youssef from Kuwait. He's actually been part of our community since the absolute inception. I think from the second power meet that we did in Dubai, now 7 years or something. Yeah, I think it's 7 years now since we did that first and second meet. Everyone who's seen Youssef lift knows that he's very much a character, a positive one. He was now, I didn't know this actually, that he was going down to the 83 category. He's been quite a lot bigger before. So I think that's made it a little bit challenging for him to kind of gauge where he was. He came out on a squat of 265, and he looked very confident until he started squatting it. And then afterwards he looked a little bit confused and looked at the bar and almost like thinking that it was the wrong weight that was loaded. But 265 was an incredibly hard opener. And then he missed 270, and thankfully he chose to not step up for his third lift, because he was kind of like drained after that. And then he did a 155, 162, 170 bench. I think he adjusted his game plan quite radically after that squat wake-up call. So he adjusted accordingly, which was great to see. He also did a 265 opener deadlift, and then he missed 2 times on 280. So I think that we can see quite a bit more in the total. He did 700, however. But I think that with a little bit more game day planning of what he actually got in him will make that total go up quite a bit. I mean, from the way I look at it, he had a little bit more than 65 in him, but not more. So he was almost lucky to get that. but he had a little bit more in the bench, and he had a little bit more than 65 in the deadlift. So another 10, 12 kilos, I think, on that would have been like a spot on day. But in his head, I think he had a lot more because he only went 5 for 9. And yeah, so I think his thought of where he was quite a bit more than what he actually could do on the day. So, but you live and you learn, and this is a new experience in the 83 category. So I'm thinking he's gonna come back, and let's see if we see him in Asians. He hasn't competed a lot, to be honest, since our power meet. There's, I think it was in the second and the third, if I remember. And then he hasn't really competed a lot. So he showed up here anyway, and then we'll see if he goes to Asians. That remains to be seen. But like a true character, and I think instantly the commentators on the web stream got him as a favorite because he's very what do you call it? He's very graphic when he lifts. So super nice guy.
And I think he's done a lot of good stuff in terms of like growing powerlifting in Kuwait, and bringing it to a lot of people, putting out content and doing seminars in Arabic. And kind of I think he's opened up his own gym, I think, and just kind of looks to be like a lot of people respect him and what he has to say. And I think really good to see him up on the platform, and hopefully he kind of settles into the 83s and starts to get a real feel for where he's at.
I can't actually remember now, but when he lifted at our first meet or second, I think he was in the 105 category. He was pretty chunky then.
Yeah.
And then we have in the 93 category there from Qatar, we have Abdallah Al-Karnib. Not too much data on him, but we heard from Feras that he has been a pretty solid athlete up until he got hit by the C virus, COVID, and got some issues after that. Abdallah is very welcome to kind of correct me if I'm wrong here, but he had severe issues after that, and is just starting to come back and get his groove back. He went actually only 4 for 9, 247, missing 255 twice, 150 bench, missing 60 and 62, and then 2 deadlifts, 50 and 62, missing 72. So it was a lot of misses there. So I'm guessing it's hard for him to kind of come in and really know where he is. So I think this goes for a lot of the athletes that we saw from our region, that I think the will is a little bit higher than the actual capacity that the lifters have. So I think most of them need to learn how to kind of feel what is actually doable, not what they hope is doable. I think that goes without saying for most of them. But anyway, I'm looking forward to see what he can do also. And from the Qatari camp, they are saying that he has big weights in him. So 660 total here, and if he can reclaim some of his old strength, then I'm assuming that we'll see someone in the 700s there also. So that's good for Qatar. So and in the 105 we also have from Qatar also Abdullah Muhammad, and he is a strong guy. He did 277, 172, 320, and he also went for some big numbers in the last lift. He missed all three third attempts, which would have been 282, 177, 335. So he did 770 with missing all these third attempts, and he seemed to be on track for an 800 total. And if he just can get the meat that he really wants, I think he can get there. He was a pretty big PB anyway, even though missing all thirds. So at least the recorded one I had on Open Powerlifting or Open IPF was 750. This was adding another 20 and going for a 6 for 9 day. So that's pretty. It feels like there should be quite a bit more in there. So once again, another lifter we're hoping to see at Asians, and what he can collect there. So that's interesting lifter also.
Yeah.
And the crown jewel of the whole experience from our region's point of view was obviously Etienne in the 120. We knew that he was on par for something really, really good, because obviously his coach Jad is one of our members. I also listened to some of the previous shows, and some people were kind of like sleeping a little bit on him. But Matt Gary, as in the OG as he is, did not sleep. He had spot on scouting on Etienne from what he could see on previous stuff on social media. So he knew that he was coming on strong. And we heard some mumbling from Jan that on how well it had gone for him. I didn't hear too much about the bench, which we'll get to, but I heard that squats was looking on form, and he also released some deadlifts. Was it 2 months out or something?
402.5. Yeah.
So that was. People shouldn't have missed that, because that was all over social media. So that people should have known that was to come. If we go for his meet then, because this was one of the classes that I wanted to follow most closely, because it was an intense battle that was hyping up. Obviously, with Bob Matthews coming over from the USAPL, stepping into the Powerlifting America scene, and also the IPF, weighing in at 105.9 also, by the way, as a kind of like a homage, or whatever you might want to call it, to the 105 guys. So anyway, at the end did 325 opener, 340, and then went for 345, which I think was excellent weight choices. After the 340,
working in the region now, some things I think we've come to know is that, like, the Lebanese lifters, they can grind a lift, and they are not going to back down, right? Imagine missing your first bench opener on strength, and then putting everything into it and getting it overturned on your second. And this is like the biggest scene, and you've got so much hype around you, and oh man, like, I can't imagine like the testicular fortitude to come out and get that third was just insane.
It's an uphill battle, and also leading up to this, spoke quite a bit to Jad about how incredibly important it was to come top 3, because we didn't mention this, but the top 3 are automatically qualified for World Games, which is huge. This is the first time that raw lifting will be represented on World Games. So I said to him, like, whatever you do, put Etienne in a place that he can pull for at least a podium position. He said, we'll try to do that. But he also said some things that kind of worried me, which was that we'll try for some high openers also, which they didn't do in the squat, which I thought was great, but apparently it did so in the bench. But anyway, they slipped through 217, and he was off to go for the deadlift. And interesting to note that was that he was 4th in the squat, he was 12th in the bench. So if you add those numbers together, like, does he have any chance at all? Well, if you have a deadlift that, like, potential that starts with a 4, you have all the potential in the world, and that was what he did then. He pulled a 370 opener. I saw also they had in, I think, 340 or 345, and then they elevated that to 370, which caused a little bit of uproar in, or at least reactions among the commentators, because I don't think they had full view on how strong he actually is. And then he went for the world record already in his second lift, for 396, and I think that was part of the strategy that Jad was telling me, like, they wanted to really push really hard on the second lift, which almost turned out to be a great plan, because once again it was a little bit of jiffy on the lockout. And one thing that the referees on this level do not like with capital letters is a little bit of a iffy lockout. You can bet you're behind that one referee would hold some sort of red light for ramping or not extending the knees, or maybe not fully extending the shoulders. And we've seen this many times. So he managed to get a red light, and the lift got overturned by the jury. So at this point it was like all or nothing for the last lift, because obviously you can't go down. But he pulled it the last lift with the support of the audience. Everyone likes an underdog and a fighter, right? So he pulled that to come in second place then, and beat out like old OGs like Tony Cliff, for instance.
A Hall of Famer, nonetheless,
yeah,
right?
Hall of Fame, yeah.
World champion, equipped, like World Games already been. It's not an easy thing to try and do. And again, that whole thing of like back against the wall and kind of pushed into a corner, you got to kind of back the Lebanese lifters in that sense. It's kind of an impressive quality to have, for sure. And I can imagine Jad and Dalia, you know, in the coaching box, just kind of nervous wrecks, and then when it happens, when he got that third lift, world record, securing placing on the podium, World Games ticket, like the feeling must have been incredible.
And it's also it's super nice to see this 120 category, especially this year, because it's really been like renovated. We have a lot of new lifters. You have Bob Matthews is born 97, Etienne 2000. Nicolas Perrault, the French guy, which is also coming on strong, is born 99, and you have Weissman 99, and a guy that didn't even make it to the actual platform was Jonah from Germany. He actually got injured on his last warm-up squat, and he wasn't time enough to go and lower the squat. He's a huge bencher, so he had an opening squat on 305, and apparently he injured himself so badly so he couldn't do that, and it wasn't time to change. So otherwise we would have seen like a bench also, most likely in the world record level on 250 and above, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So him and Etienne has been butting heads before at junior competitions. They will face off again for sure. But a whole cluster of people born in the late 90s and 2000 and then you have the senior of Tony Cliff then, born 84, trying to keep these young guys at bay, but yeah, so at this tournament you had Bob winning and Etienne coming in second, and then Tony as the senior coming in at third place. Anyways, a world record for Etienne, which is like an open world record on this level, and also a total silver. So those things stand out like absolute astonishing for the region. Obviously, which we get to like next, was an actual deadlift medal secured for the region before this, but from the tournament itself, that Etienne can come in at second place and clinch a world record is such a phenomenal success, and it's gonna carry the whole region, I think, for or put the spotlight on the region for the next year, and with a 6 for 9 performance coming in silver also shows that he has a little bit more in the tank, and hopefully we'll see what that is later on in the year.
All right, so
over to the or some final thoughts.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like you say, putting the 7 men from the region, right? You had 2 from Kuwait, 2 from Lebanon, and 3 from Qatar, you know, in the men's. So really good, and Etienne being the kind of shining light there, and really kind of just, as you said, putting focus on the region, and it's really good, and hopefully that just continues to elevate the standard. And if we come into, I guess, into the women now, and again, to see women from the region getting involved in the sport, doing really well at the sport is amazing to see. You know, even from like when we think about the first power meet, there were no girls in the first power meet, right? And then fast forward all the way to like our power meet 16 or power meet 15, and we had like, you know, close to 40 girls competing. So just showing the growth of the sport and uncovering some really good talent. So really exciting to see. So if I jump in, and I think we'll start with you know, Hanouf Al-Tamimi, Kuwait, in the sub 47 kilo class. And you know, Hanouf, you know, she had a 7 for 9 day, which, you know, in terms of attempt selections was joint first place in terms of successful attempts, I should say, from all of the lifters from the region. Only another lady from Qatar going 7 for 9. So good attempt selections. Hanouf went on her squats. She went 125 as her opener, which is actually like her equal PB at this this body weight, because Hanouf has moved down weight classes. She settled into the sub 52 and was weighing a light 52 when she came. I think it was to one of the power meets or the classic, and dipped down into the 47s, and obviously did that with a purpose. That was for Asians. But then she went to 130 for her second attempt, and she got called for depth on that one, and then repeated it. Wise move, made 130, secured it, and moved into the bench, where she went 2 for 3 here. She did a 70 opener, 75, went for the 77, and just missed. I think that was a strength thing, if I remember. Now, 70 kilos was her previous best from Asians, the end of last year. So again, to be opening up on that squat PB and bench PB just shows how kind of fast her progress has been. And then we come into the deadlift, and Hanouf's deadlift is what secured her a silver medal. And, you know, a silver medal in the deadlift at the biggest world championships in a really competitive 47 kilo class is absolutely amazing, right? So this, I would say, in terms of the GCC, is probably the biggest achievement in the sport to date. You know, putting Kuwait on the map, you know, in the GCC, in the world powerlifting scene, and I think it's really, really amazing. So she opened at 160, went to 167. She then put in her third at 175. Now, we had a Canadian lady that had secured her place on the podium, and she put in a deadlift that was, I think it was 185, that would have jumped her a place on the podium, I think from third to second, perhaps.
87 and a half.
It was 87 and a half. Okay, so she put that in. Her second that she did was 172.5. Now, Hanouf was a lighter on body weight. And I think I was watching it live, and I'm looking at the score sheet, and I'm seeing the 175, and I'm thinking, if she puts in that, you know, drops it down, we're going to be on for, you know, a potential of a silver medal. And sure enough, Anthony, her coach, you know, he's very experienced, has coached some really good lifters in Kuwait, and you know, absolutely right decision, dropped that down to 72. And Hanouf comes out, makes it, and I was speaking
to
her.
A little bit happy afterwards.
She was, the runoff and celebration at the end was amazing. Now, what happened? So Hanouf, I spoke to Hanouf. I went to the Kuwait Nationals recently, and I was speaking to Hanouf. And her goal, she said, was to hit bronze at the competition. And, you know, she thought with that lift she'd secured bronze. And Anthony had told her, okay, go and wait out in the corridor now. Like, go chill, relax. You know, great job. And he wanted to stay and watch what the Canadian did. And the Canadian, she came out and she missed the attempt. So Anthony walked back into the corridor, and Hanouf said, like, you know, I won. Did I get the bronze? And he was like, no. And she's kind of, what? And he's like, you got silver. And she kind of lost her mind. So really cool to kind of get that little bit of an insight. But her total PB from Asians, right, which was in December, was 352.5. Yep. She totaled 377.5 at this comp in the same weight class. So that's a 25 kilo increase in 6 months. That's just incredible. And I was speaking to Anouf about her training. She said she was training 7 days a week for this competition. 7 days a week. Which just, I mean, just shows her dedication. And whilst that's not going to be like SBD days 7 days a week, but it's kind of a lot of benching going on, a lot of deadlift frequency and squat frequency. It just shows like incredible progress, and hopefully we see her Asians and go beyond that as well. Would be amazing to see. So yeah, really great to see that. Was really.
She took some scalps worth mentioning here in the deadlift. I mean, she out deadlifted Tiffany Chapon. She obviously came before Aurélie with the Canadian, which obviously went for a higher deadlift. She also outlifted, who was I thinking? Yeah, the Italian girl also, Annalisa. So she outlifted her. So there are some phenomenal scalps here. And these are the ones that I mentioned. These are like top lifter with IPF points 110 or just about, or some above. And Hanouf did then 105.65 points, which is for a female lifter completely shatters everything that anyone have ever done in the region. So that's by the way, I just have to mention, when you said like progress, I crunched the numbers on Etienne's progress from when we saw him actually live first time here at Asians. You remember when we coached at Asians? So since then he put 127.5 on his total.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's
looking
some
for that kind
weight.
of progress. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. So yeah, I think Hanouf placing 6th overall out of 11 lifters. But again, like you mentioned with the 59s, the 47s is kind of growing as a weight class as well. So a really strong performance, really putting Kuwait on the map. And like I said, I went to Kuwait to see their nationals, and just, credit to the Kuwait Powerlifting Committee and to Faisal, for just growing the sport in the region, in the Kuwait particularly, because so many good lifters coming out of Kuwait. Some lifters that haven't competed on the international scene, but could and would hold their own. Some juniors and sub-juniors that are coming through as well. So really exciting, and Kuwait got put on the map there definitely by Hanouf. So exciting things to come from Kuwait, I believe. They have a super heavy who Asians expecting big things from him. There's another lady in the 57 who at the Kuwait Nationals totaled 440. So some really good lifters coming through. So excited for that.
Yeah, I think for sure in the female section, Kuwait has taken a giant leap, to be ahead of everyone else in the region. I mean, they've had we get to her a little bit later. They've had Heya kind of like leading the pack for quite some time, and then you have Hanouf coming and surpassing her when it comes to the points quite radically here. And I mean, let's see what she can do on the Asian level, because there's no Asians ahead of her in this ranking, and it's gonna be really cool to see. But for sure, really kudos to the Kuwaiti whole community and the federation and everyone involved to bring forward all these girls.
Yeah. So then we come into Theodora Bombuka, I think is how you say her last name, Dora, representing Qatar in the 47s. Now, she didn't have the best day, unfortunately, going 3 for 9, making her openers And so she opened up her squat at 100 and then went to 107.5, which according to her PB of 105 would have been a PB, but just wasn't quite there on the day. And she went for it twice and just didn't have it. She then, brushed that off. She came out to bench. She went 55 for opener, looked great. Went 60, but we know a 5 kilo jump, in these weight classes is quite a big jump, particularly when you're benching around that 60 kilo mark. So she went 55, looked great, put 60 on, missed it. Came out for the third and hit it. Like it went up, and it showed insane fight and grit and got that up. And was unfortunately red lighted for a technical fault. I think her hip came up ever so slightly, but really showed a lot of fight. But going for a PB on her second there, because her joint PB, bench PB was 60 that I could find. She came out then for a deadlift, 125 opener, looked great, and then made a 12.5 kilo jump to her second again, which I think at this kind of body weight is a massive jump. And her PB being 135, her strength we know is around there, but just it didn't break the floor, or it came just off the floor. And then repeated it for a third, and she made it. It went up, but again got technical fault. So I think in terms of the competitions, I know she would have been disappointed. I think Dora came to one of the workshops I did in Qatar, and I know her and from those, and I know following her on Instagram, she was really disappointed in her performance. Her total PB of 300 and hitting 280 at this comp, going 3 for 9. I know she wouldn't have been happy with that, but the heart and the grit that she showed on those last lifts was amazing, and you got to applaud that, and hopefully, going into future competitions, she's like a stronger lifter because of that. And that being said, came ninth out of 11 lifters, so has plenty of room to grow in the weight class, I think.
And I think it just goes to show also that what these countries are doing, and Qatar in this case, sending her there in order also to kind of be in the environment and learn. I mean, if she has a total of like 300, say maybe she was expecting / hoping like 305, 307, 37. It's not like she's not out of place in any kind of way. She belongs there, and they come there and learn and also share the experience when they get home. So I think it's completely the right way to do to create like knowledge about what happens on these major tournaments, because you can't just sit at home and hope to prepare forever and then come and win everything, because that's not going to work. So pay their due diligence, which is a word I want to try to use as much as I can.
They're definitely a baptism of fire, right? And I think sure. I think there's no greater learning opportunity than that, for sure. And I know I've spoken to like a lot of lifters just in the region in general that have said like, I don't want to compete until I can squat X or until I can deadlift Y. And it's kind of a shame, because if you're hoping to place, if I squat 200, then I'm likely to place a certain position, but you can't account for what other people are going to turn up and where other people are. It's about what happens on the day, who makes the most attempts. You can't ever account for that. So it's just great to see people getting the opportunity, throwing their hat in the ring, putting it all out there, and hopefully becoming stronger lifters because of it. Better lifters, more resilient lifters because of it. Then we move on to the sub 57 class with Heya from Kuwait, who we've known for a long time, been part of our community for a while, like doing power meets and doing really well. She's been coming to Dubai and coming and training the gym, so we know her really well. Her total PB coming into this comp was 402.5, and looking like her training from what we saw on Instagram had been going well. So she comes in, bearing in mind top end potential of around 147, opening at 137. That's good opening point, but comes out for her opener and gets reds. Thinks, okay, no, opener light enough, I can come back out and repeat that, which she did, but gets turned down on her second attempt for depth. At this point, you're starting to panic a little bit. And I'm sure she was. World Championships, currently 0 lifts on the board and with 1 lift to go. And you're wondering, like, can she sink that any lower? Has she got it in her? We know that she has the strength, but does the technique and her positioning allow her to go any lower? But she comes out back against the wall, she buries it, and she grinds it up. So I think a lesson in kind of bit of mental fortitude there, but also why opening light, particularly at this kind of tournament, is going to be really, really crucial. Because she was able to come out and make it and kind of breathe a big sigh of relief and get herself off the board or on the board even and get the competition underway. So that was really kind of good to see that she was able to kind of secure that. Then she went into bench. She went 62.5, 67, 70, making all 3, which was an equal bench PB. I think she'd been nursing a little bit of a pec strain coming into the competition. So, to be able to equal a PB under those circumstances is great. Then comes into deadlift, 177, goes to 185. It looked challenging. Went to 190, which I think was, a good call, but just didn't have her in it on the day, giving her finishing a total with 392.5, placing 15th out of 22 lifters in a ridiculous class, right? The 57s is a ridiculous class, going 6 for 9. And you think, okay, 10 kilos off her PB, but you have to believe that she had, the capacity to at least get close to equaling her competition PB, total PB, and maybe trying to nudge it a little bit if that was on the cards. So not the day that she hoped for sure on squats, but kind of able to kind of regain some ground by making all her benches and having a good strong deadlift as well. I think she's been hunting 200 for a while. I know it was on the cards, her deadlift PB of 192.5 from a year or two ago. I know she's going to be hungry for that 200, so I hope she gets the momentum to hit that in competition soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's and as you said, she's somewhat of an OG, at least on the female side in our community, and I think it goes to show also that here you have one of the front runners of our community, as in the region, coming in. She doesn't perform maybe as well as she actually wanted, but like even if she would have got her PB into total, you're looking at like she came 15th now in her weight category, and she is in one of the toughest of them all. So like the 57 category is packed, like 52 and 63 also, but like 57 is where a lot of girls end up if they're really, really well trained and like of normal size, right? So it's just a fierce class. And what I mean with what I want to highlight is that she is one of our best then, and she comes 15 at Worlds. So that goes to show that you can't expect to be like top 3, 4, 5 in order to send lifters. You need to send lifters so they can get the experience, get this baptism of fire on this level in order to like understand like where is my placing in the world, and then you can have the Asians to go to. Because if you look at how many or how these girls will place at Asians, it will be a lot higher. Because once again, look at the scoreboard. There ain't too many Asian people, as in not too many in front of her. And obviously will be like a whole array of other lifters at Asians, but That's why we have this like levels. So we have nationals, you have your region championship, and then you have the worlds, and the worlds is the world. So like the level is incredibly high. But once again, as you said, super great that she actually took such an easy opener, because if she would have been a little bit aggressive there, she might have failed the last attempt then. So 137 was a good opener, and it was also good to be able to retake it. So
Yeah.
and as you said, I'm pretty sure that we know she is a fierce deadlifter. It's kind of like that's where she start to like fire on all cylinders. So I'm assuming also that she was a little bit disappointed with only hitting 185. I say only, but it's obviously a super great weight for a 57 girl. But she probably wanted more, but it wasn't there on the day. So
Yeah.
not much to say.
Yeah, and again, like I said, coming from Kuwait and seeing a sub 57 kilo lifter hitting 440 total, is amazing. And this lifter, she hasn't competed internationally because she is wanting to wear her knee sleeves when she lifts, and because she covers. She wears the leggings at the moment. There is a rule that stops that from happening, hopefully to be changed soon. But, again, if Kuwait can send a lifter that's totaling around the 440, now I don't know if you have the results up there, where that would have roughly placed her at the World Championships, but just shows the strength in depth coming from the female lifters.
She'll be top 10, and all of a sudden there's an A flight, borderline knocking on the door for eight. The A flights was most commonly 8 lifters, so that's knocking on the door for being in an A flight. So that's pretty cool.
So really cool to see, and hopefully Heya can gain some training momentum, string together a performance at Asians that she's really capable of. And kind of stake her claim as a really good 57 kilo lifter within Kuwait, within Asia, and on the world scene. We then come into the sub 69 class, the Qatari lifter Paris Waniki. I think I'm saying that right. Now she's a new lifter, so there's not really any data on her. Firas had told us that she's one of these lifters that has some really kind of raw, natural strength that hasn't really been fine-tuned for powerlifting just yet, but has been kind of cultivated through just general strength training. So you'd like to think that with some powerlifting specific training and guidance, and that she's going to be kind of having some much higher potential than what she showed at the Worlds. But she went 7 for 9. She did a 130 squat and then missed 140 twice. She went then 67.5, 75, and 80 on her bench, and then 155, 162, 170 on her deadlift, giving her a 380 total, placing her 21st out of 24 lifters. Now, that's a great day once she got the shaky start of squats out of the way. And as I mentioned, being a new lifter, you'd like to think that there's definitely some potential to be tapped into there. And, with Firas in, the Qatari Federation, and hopefully kind of guiding her, which I'm sure he will be in the best way possible, we're going to see some real progress from her. And I think, again, like you said, it just kind of shows that great that Qatar sent her and be like, hey, throw your hat in the ring. You've never really done powerlifting before. Here's the world stage. Sink or swim, baby, and she did, she obviously going 7 for 9, like I said, in terms of all the lifters, that is joint first place. That's men and women. That's joint first place in terms of successful attempts made. So held her cool really well and was able to put together a reasonably good performance for herself there.
If you can have a girl weighing in the 69 category falling in your hands with a total capacity of roughly say somewhere in the just below 400, that's that's some great basic material. So
Absolutely.
yeah, let's see. It's going to be interesting to see where she comes when we're looking forward to Asians and so on.
Yeah. And then we move into the sub 84 category. Again, another Qatari lifter, Noor Abuasi. She's been in Qatar for a while, like doing a few of their meets and kind of really kind of showing herself as one of the stronger, female lifters in terms of like the heavier weight classes that are in the region. Her total PB of 497.5, 202.5 squat, and 90 kilo bench and a 205 kilo deadlift was done in the super heavies, but weighing 87.7, I believe. She dropped down into the 80 sub 84s, and for this comp weighing about 80, I think 83.1. She hit her opener 175 on the squat, went to 182, missed it, but made a small jump to 85. I didn't watch this one. I'm assuming for the little jump, maybe it was some kind of like technicality on Mr. Command or something like that. But 185 locked in on the squat, then goes to bench 85, 90, equaling her PB, and then couldn't quite make 92 and a half. On the deadlift, then 180, 187.5 on the second, and missing 192.5. Now, that gave her a 462.5 total, going 6 for 9. She had nothing left on the squat. She maybe nothing left on the bench, but maybe about 5 more potentially, or 2.5 more on the deadlift if she could have made 190. Would have given her about 460. So she didn't actually leave much on the table on the day. Giving her, let's say, like about a 465 on the day, below her total PB by 20 something kilos. And what I understand from Noor is that she's been nursing a lower body injury for quite some time, and I think we can really see that having an effect on her squat and deadlift strength. Her bench hasn't been affected by she dropped about 4.5 kilos in body weight. So it wasn't a considerable weight drop by any stretch to get her into the sub 84s. She hasn't lost anything on the bench, but her squat and her deadlift seem to have taken a hit. Now, I would say that's probably down to this injury that she's been nursing, as opposed to actually the weight cut that would have happened. So hopefully she gets healthy soon, and we start to see her creep those numbers back up to the 200s, which 200 north of 200 kilo squats and deadlifts for an 84 female is fantastic. So yeah, let's kind of keep our fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, I think that one of the, like, looking at all these numbers, as we alluded to a few times, I think one of the things that everyone in the region is recommended to do is try to a little bit more adjust on the day and getting out as much as possible for the day, and not like going in and expecting you're going to overperform. Just taking the first lift as a safe one, the second one we always call the stepping stone, and then trying to adjust in on the third what is actually there for the day. So if we have the guys made a total of 60% of their lifts and the girls made 64, and I mean, it's not a competition on how many lifts you get, but you want to have like an average of like 7 for 9 or something like that, missing maybe 1 or 2 lifts. So that's almost like 18-20% increasement, which I would like to see. And the thing is, it's going to be super cool to we're obviously not going to throw this kind of like recap away that we've done here on our end, and then see how this stacks up for next year when this happens again. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of trends we can see, and also maybe we even do it if we feel up for it after the Asians. It will be got quite a few more lifters to do it on, but it will be interesting to see, because then we have even more participants in kind of like in our research. But yeah.
And I think it just like, yep, the number of attempts made, we want to see that increase. And I think as these lifters get more and more experience at this level of competition, and the coaching staff and everything get more and more experience, handling these lifters, you're going to see these kind of numbers improve organically through that. And I think that's one of the real positive things that I think, we want to draw attention to, is that the sport is growing in the region. The talent in the region is being developed. That's on the coaching side and on the actual competitor side. Just here in Desert Barbell with not our staff, but the young guys that are coaching lifters, Mayed coaching John, world record holder, sub junior in the squat. We have Mustafa from Egypt coaching lifters. We've got so many younger guys and girls getting into coaching in the region that we're just going to see this kind of get better and better and better as they get more exposure to these higher level competitions and working with higher level lifters. So it's really kind of exciting stuff to be a part of right now.
Yeah, actually, I actually wrote down this, but I don't have the note here. But if you just look at, I'm just snowing in on this with the made attempts. If you look at the female category, you have the winners, as in each weight category. You had 6 for 9, you have 9 for 9, you have 8 for 9, you have 8 for 9, you have 8 for 9, you have 7 for 9, you have 9 for 9, 8 for 9 and 9 for 9. So it's it is a matter of making a lot of attempts, because that will eventually get you to the highest total. But as you say, also it's we have so much going on in the region, and as you say, in Dubai alone, or in the UAE alone, we have a hell of a lot of stuff going on. And also, what is going to be super interesting is the University Worlds here in just a bit of time. In Estonia, which we're gonna have a big troop from the UAE going to. So that's I'm looking forward to that, because that's obviously gonna be a lot of Mayed's guys and also a lot of Sharif's guys from Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So that would be super cool.
Yeah, and I think moving forward, obviously what we hope to see are more lifters from the UAE, from Saudi, being involved, in these higher level competitions, at these international level competitions, sending lifters, developing, talent, and putting each country within the GCC on the map. There's some good lifters from Bahrain, like some junior, female junior or sub junior. She deadlift world record holder, I think. So there's some real talent here, and we just kind of want to see, I think, more representation from the GCC nations at these competitions, at Worlds. It's going to be kind of something I'm looking forward to next year for sure.
Yeah, and if I just while we're talking here, scroll through, if I count correctly here now, super fast. It's 10 lifters from UAE going to the University Powerlifting Championship in Estonia, and so that's 10 lifters. That's pretty
really good.
Very, very, very good. So
yeah,
the future is looking for sure brighter and brighter, and I think that people in the region, obviously, I think the main focus should be to get in the top in your country, and then Asian that is the playground to really push it, because as you see now, performing or getting to Worlds is one thing, but actually making an impact like Hanouf now did and Etienne did, that is super, super hard. So for most people that get to Worlds, it will be literally like going to the Olympics. It's I'm there to enjoy it, do my best, but it's gonna take some time before we have like 5, 6, 7, 8 people that can actually do some damage in the top. So Asians is where I think the main focus should lay, and for this year's is in Uzbekistan in December. So gonna be super cool to see.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Really good. So I think that puts a wrap on it. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one, I guess.
Yeah, let's hope that someone was at least interested in hearing us babble about this. And yeah, maybe we at some point do some preview show or whatever for these things. Also, I know that in that setting, Mayed always have a lot of things to say, and he has his ear to the ground with these lifters from this region. Like no one else, I think.
And we can get some of we get Jad on, we can, it'd be really cool. Get Anthony on, maybe. It would be really cool to kind of, to do that kind of stuff. So, yeah. All right. I think that's everything.
Yeah. If you want to see, or if you want to see any more of a content, comments down below and for the algorithm and everything.
Subscribe.
we're now at 33 followers at Desert Barbell YouTube. No, we have a few, but not much. But we've always had planned to do these kind of things, but we need to do regular work also. So like it is what it is. But anyway,
the professional podcast life isn't for us just yet.
Yeah, not yet. Anyway,
soon. All right.
Over and out.
Over and out.